ongoing effort to build that thing out too. And there's no quid pro quo. They're gonna get a little bit of advertising out of it, big deal. I understand your position and your concern, and on the surface, sure, there could be something like that, some expectation somewhere along the way. As I stated earlier in the board, and the board voted, this board voted, we're gonna move forward, put an article on town meeting warrant, and the town should take care of it, if we can take care of it. However, someone wants to, benefactor wants to step forward, we'll consider it. And I took the time out to talk to the family, talk to the people, and I have no reservations whatsoever in this particular case. And I've had no reservations in the past as far as what goes on. Most of the people that, all of the people that have been part of the business community here are huge contributors, and we wouldn't be able to enjoy the quality of life in North Reading without the support of the business community. And this is a wonderful gesture on their part, and again, relatively new to town, if you really think about it, as far as established businesses, but two very successful businesses, and they have their corporate headquarters here. They own multiple Dunkin' Donuts. And this just struck a nerve with them, where this landmark on the common fell. The town had a need, knowing what our concerns are in relation to dollars and cents, knowing that we decided to step forward, but they said, let us do this for the community, and all they're looking for is maybe a picture in the paper with us and some recognition with a poll, and I think it's worth taking, and I have absolutely no concern in relation to the rationale. It's truly honorable.
Yeah,
And if you want to talk about some sort of a policy going forward to have a discussion about that, we can have that, but I don't know that my position would change, only because there's too much scrutiny. There's too much scrutiny as far as individuals. You would have to have a whole host of people party to whatever you think the conspiracy is, and it just can't happen here in this community. I haven't seen it happen yet.
yeah, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm picking on
No.
this case here. I'm trying to think of the bigger picture. I'm trying to think of systemically, how we function as a government. Anytime someone donates money, it should be looked at and appreciated for what its intent is. And I think Dunkin' Donuts is, and the owners are, to be appreciated, for that. But again, I think about systemically going down the road, that if we had, for the confidence of the public going down the road, that if we had some type of, for lack of a better disclaimer, that anybody would sign going forward, then the public knows that this was on the up and up. There is no question. I know, Sean, when you sit on the other side and don't know some of the things that we know, people have questions, and they're fair questions. And if systemically, if it's done right, then there are no questions, and there can be no question. And that's all I'm looking at. I don't, it's a tough thing to sit here and say, be a naysayer on such a good idea. It's a very tough thing to do. But at the same time, I have to think more broad-minded and say, systemically, if we have something in place, there's a check already in place, and everybody knows it, and we can go forward without anybody having any concern. And that's all.
Just as another example, though, for years, the town of North Reading enjoyed, fireworks displays and things like that. That was all underwritten by private local business person, for the most part. Tens of thousands of dollars on an annual basis.
But that wasn't done by the town. That was done.
It was a town affair, town function, 4th of July committee, but the funds that were utilized
Private
for that,
donations.
Right.
private donations. Again, just another example of
And hopefully again.
the business community is part of this community, and many of them budget as part of their budgeting process, monies to give to charitable contributions and give back to the community. And this organization is no different. And again, when they got the solicitation, along with everybody else that they got one, which was dozens and dozens that were sent out, went right to the top of the pile and said, this is something they could do. It's going to have a long-lasting, positive effect in a way that they can give back to the community. And I think it's a wonderful gesture that'd be applauded for, and along with the rest of the business community. Like I said, the quality of life in this town would be far different if we didn't accept corporate contributions and local business contributions to assist us in our undertaking and in delivering of services and programs. So it's, again, I think it's a good thing.
I think let's just go forward and let's just vote on it.
I personally would like to thank our Veterans Director, obviously the donors, Mr. Carnevale, Mr. Welch, and anyone else that's been involved in moving this thing forward. I think it's wonderful. I think we should be very appreciative of the donation, and let's move on.
Yeah, and again,
And I
and
think,
for those people that have already
my
contributed.
understanding is we're gonna schedule a formal,
Formal, picture taking later on in the month.
when the
but
poll is up.
But this vote will allow us to accept the funds and actually put an order in for the poll and hopefully have it by Veterans Day. It takes 6 to 8 weeks.
Did you figure out the footage yet?
Mr.
What's-
Carnevale?
Footage.
Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the cost and kind of the scope has increased.
Yeah.
Currently, the cost for the 80, 90, and 100-foot pole exceed the $25,000 bid.
Right.
So it will, in that scenario, will not be in for.
What's that?
veteran. A bid takes up to 6 weeks. So, because it's grown in price and all the things, it's now very, very hard to get it in by that date.
I would, well, I think we'll have another, maybe offline discussion about that. I think it would be okay to get the poll. I mean, all you're talking about is the excavation and the installation from the latest bids that I've seen.
You can't split the bid, unfortunately.
No, I don't- Well,
We can talk offline, but
talk about
as of right now,
as far as any landscaping that needs to be done.
all
things
those
of that,
three,
I would
all
think that
those three
in-house we can-
things
We can take care of that.
kick us over the limit. You have to take out the old foundation if you want it in the same location as well.
Yeah.
That's another extra cost. So
Yeah.
we've kind of had a mission creep, I guess. So it's currently, it's a bid job, not just to get 3 quotes.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
we'll talk
So
offline.
what does that mean for October meeting? Is it?
Well, it's still October town
We
meeting.
still have an
Not a
article.
funding
We still have
issue,
an
it's a-
article,
it's
and
a
we're
construction
gonna have
issue.
to make up the difference between
Talking
25 and
about a
whatever the total.
timeframe to get
Unfortunately,
the
we have an
job
article.
done
Thank God,
for Veterans Day.
Okay,
just in case.
We'll,
Okay.
we'll see.
so,
It's not the new town meeting. These funds will go to this project.
right,
Just a question, the project has not gelled
the
yet as
difference
to what we're
don't-
actually doing.
right.
It's not clear to me and John if we're going with 100, 90, 80, we don't
Right.
care at this point. Somebody's got to make a decision.
Right.
But the costs are creeping up, unfortunately, above the 25,000 cutoff for a bid job versus getting 3 quotes by chapter 30 bid.
But when
okay.
for town meeting, I mean, I'm all for the town covering the difference. I mean, but,
Right.
so at town meeting, are we going to be able to do
We'll
that?
have
Is that the?
We'll
I'm
have
not
a
looking at
figure to
motion right
appropriate the
now.
difference.
I'm sorry?
We'll have a figure to appropriate the difference above the 25,000.
Oh, you'll have the figure, the cost that it's gonna, by ten?
Once we decide on what height it's going to be and all the accoutrements around it,
We
we'll
put
get
the
a hard number.
Yeah, no, I
Estimate.
understand that. I understand.
Will give us an educated estimate. And that's
Right now, the 100-foot with everything else is about
We're
32,000.
committed to get the job done and
Right.
supplement the
That's what I
cost if
remember.
required. Okay,
We still have to vote.
on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Yes, I voted aye. I'll explain why. I wanted to,
Let's move on with the meeting.
well,
No
he has a
explanation is
question
needed.
for it.
I just want to make sure you voted the right
Appreciate
way.
the support.
Thank you.
I just want people to understand.
I stopped signing it because of the question
Yeah,
on the
okay.
percentage. 'cause
No,
it's
I would
right
ask
on
you
the
to sign it,
certificate.
and I've put a hold on it with the treasurer.
Yeah, he's gonna
So-
just make an administrative change on the
That's
page
right.
1. 'Cause
No,
the
but
rest of
there's a certificate in there, the official thing that says 1.25%.
Then, what I'm saying is you can sign it, but I'm not going to release anything. If you want, then you'll have to repost another meeting between now and the 15th.
Because I don't think we actually signed
You don't
the
sign that certificate.
You signed the piece
Yeah,
of
right,
paper, and they shall replace out the certificate.
Okay.
So all the signature pages, when I
All
went
right, the
through and looked at
motion
it,
is only for the
Yeah. us-
percentage. Okay,
he's gonna make sure that
all right.
we
fine.
sign up for the
Okay,
right rate.
that's acceptable.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed with the fact that that doesn't look to be right, but there's got to be an
That's okay.
explanation. We pay
got it.
people a lot of money to make sure that those documents
Don't
are
worry
in
about
right
it, we
order.
got it though. It's,
But they're not our people, they're bankers.
it just stuck out at me when I was signing, I'm
Yeah.
like, that number just doesn't
Slippery
seem right.
hand of the bank.
I know what you guys are trying to do, you're trying
Must be
to
from-
pull a fast one on me.
Well, after it
Review
makes-
of October town meeting articles is next on our agenda. Do we want to go through these quick, Mr. Balakonis?
I think we've gone through them quick. I can maybe point out some of the changes for you.
Please do.
Um,
just verify the numbers. Article 2, the water fund deficit, what is the amount?
So I hope we weren't gonna get too deeply into numbers, to be honest with you. That was the one reason I didn't want to. The water fund deficit is $82,442. We have an account with $64,086 in it. We'll need to bridge the gap of $18,356 from available funds. We have the Stickney Well Fund, and we have the Water Infrastructure Fund, which will be available to bridge that gap.
Okay, we'll talk about the Stickney Well Fund, or the source of it.
I'd use the other fund.
We have the Water
Yeah, NTP.
Infrastructure Fund to do that.
And that, you know, we're aimed at putting that back when we catch up, and I think we're just caught with the fact that we didn't raise the rates in time. Prior year's bills, you had a number roughly, it was only,
It was under $100. I think it was
60 some odd
$68 or
any
$65.
questions on 3?
Well,
Article 4, rescind bond authorizations, I don't think there's any questions on that, the numbers
No.
are there. The operating budget, Greg,
It's grown a little bit from your last meeting. We've included the amount that's necessary for professional services in my budget to hire someone to come in and do the closing of the books for 2011. It also includes the master plan that DPW, because I think the board and the finance committee agreed that those items don't belong in the capital budget. So those will be included in the budget amendment, together with an amount for veteran services, about $22,500, an amount for retirements, which represents 2 unanticipated public safety retirements, about $50,000. Just trying to think, there's something else that's in there. I don't recall off the top of my head whether I don't think there's anything else that's in that article.
the source of funding from that will be raise and appropriate, or will it be?
We'll nail that down. We have a month to nail down the sources of funds. Honestly, we'll use raise and appropriate. However, I don't feel that utilizing money for one-time studies is a fair use of raise and appropriate money. It's not money that's continuing every year. So I would look at the closeout of the FY 2011 account and the master plan for the DPW buildings coming from another source of funds other than raise and appropriate.
Capital improvement plan, these are the proposed numbers currently.
Right.
Any questions?
Yeah,
Michael?
some changes to them, right? That one from our last meeting?
Yes. Well, we basically nailed down our sources of funds.
I see that we added the turf.
I did add the turf mower, because
Appreciate
the price was, to me, inexpensive, and in speaking with the Public Works Director, we determined that the vehicle or the equipment is aged out and really should be replaced.
Dick, did you have that meeting with everybody on the,
Parks,
Grass
Marty and
cutting?
I, and the school department had that conflict. So what we did is kind of mapped out where everybody goes, and we did find some overlaps, and it's kind of an operational thing to figure out how can we,
all right, so you're still planning on having that meeting?
we carved it out now, it's kind of working through the numbers.
And I take it you're in support of the mower?
The little one, or the big one, either one.
You don't wanna do you, Marty? You want the old push mower?
Okay,
I think it's a pretty modest use of funds on the mower. You could buy a mower that costs $50,000 too. So it's pretty cost effective at looking at it this price.
I really do want to go back to the $240,000 dump truck. Dick, I've been giving this a ton of thought. You know, I listened to your rationale, and I'm not saying it's bad rationale. I'm just having a hard time buying into it. That buying a truck for $240,000 is gonna save us money. You know, that's a huge amount of money. I just went on the internet and did some searches, and you could buy 2 trucks, Cadillac-like trucks with Sanders and plows, 10-wheelers. Even, I'm not sure what you're replacing. It's not a 10-wheeler you're replacing, right?
6-wheel dump.
6-wheel. I mean, I did some 6-wheel ones, $90,000 to $100,000 Cadillac vehicles. You get 2 and still save $40,000. So if you could just one more time, maybe I'm